Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the EEARSS Podcast, produced by Terrier TV. I am Frank Robb. I don't know why I question that, but...
You didn't sound sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am, but Cindy, Bill, how are you guys?
I'm good.
Yeah? What's new and exciting in y'all's world?
I did a little
As you shrug your
traveling
shoulders.
over the weekend. I was doing jet setting,
Yeah?
as it were, and I was doing really well on all of my connections until I got to Chicago.
I warned you.
And then Frank cursed me.
As soon as you told me
Frank
you were
said
flying into
Chicago.
Midway, I
Yeah.
went, if you're flying to O'Hare, you're perfectly fine. If you want to be delayed, you go to Midway.
Oh, yeah. Midway was incredible. It was like we were on top of people's houses while
It's
we were
legit.
landing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine living around that place. That has to be...
Well, when you fly into O'Hare, it's even more fun because you're it's the same thing. You're on top of people's houses there too.
Okay.
But Midway's more, I think, southwest side, and O'Hare's kind of just to the
Okay.
west of everything by
The
Rosemont.
scariest thing happened to me. We were coming into Atlanta like 7:30 in the morning. It was foggy,
Okay.
and we're coming in, and I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention. I know we're coming in. And all of a sudden, bam! And I look down, and we're on the ground. I didn't see the ground. There was so much fog.
It was just
You
there.
didn't see it. All of a sudden, bam, hit the ground.
That's sketchy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. That got the old ticker pumping.
I can imagine.
I was, yeah.
So your trip was good?
Oh, yeah, everything was good. Everything
Okay.
was good.
I had a birthday a couple days ago, so I went up to St. Augustine to Croc Fest this
You
weekend.
had a birthday? Your birthday?
It was, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I snuck it
okay.
in there.
Okay.
I was trying to be sneaky about it. It's actually me and my dad's both of our birthdays, so we share the name
You
and the
and
birthday. Yep.
Really?
Yep. So that's pretty neat.
Wow.
It's one more thing that confuses everybody.
Oh, yeah.
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 Sharing
So-
the birthday, sharing the
so-
name, having a brother that's
yeah,
named Frank.
'cause
None of it helps.
Your name is the same, and you have the same birth date. It's just
Yep.
a different year.
And then my brother's is November the 9th instead of December
Your-
the 9th. So that
Your
doesn't help
credit
anything either.
record's got to be the
A nightmare.
weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah. Yep. It's yeah, it's bizarre, but it is what it is.
I mean, I'm a junior, so I get...
You get a little bit of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
There for a while, it worked. It served me very well because my dad has great credit. So when I was younger, I got a lot of good loans that I probably shouldn't have gotten.
Hey,
But
that
yeah.
works.
Yeah, it did.
So I want to take a second and tell you guys how much I appreciate you both. And doing this podcast with you guys over this past time has been absolutely wonderful. I thank the world of you guys. I appreciate you a bunch, and I got you guys a little something I want to give to you.
Uh-oh.
Is that what the mystery package
Yes,
is?
that
like
what
I
it
said,
was?
it is not Outback Steakhouse.
Okay.
So excuse the rumbles on the microphone. I made a trip a couple Fridays ago to St. Augustine to see our friend Andy Murray,
Oh.
and got you guys each a book. So you have to figure out which
Oh, I
ones
can't wait.
they're signed for you guys. So you got to figure out which one's yours and which
okay.
one's not.
He signed them?
He signed them for you. Yep.
Oh.
He goes, yes, I will sign a book for Bill and Cindy. Yes, I will.
Oh, I can't wait.
And I got mine.
Yeah. So
Look at
yeah,
that.
just a little something to tell you
Oh,
guys
that
much
is
I
so
appreciate you
cool.
all, and
Oh,
Merry
that's
Christmas.
awesome.
Since this is the last time I'll see you guys before Christmas, it just
Yeah.
yep, love you guys and appreciate you.
Thank you.
So you guys ready to get into our guest for today?
I'm ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
So today on the podcast, we are joined by the mayor of the city of Titusville, the prestigious city of Titusville, Mayor Dan Diesel. Dan, thank you for being here.
Well, great to be here. I'm already excited about some of the stories. Bill flying on rooftops and you having your birthday with alligators. It all makes sense. And having the same birthday as your dad, named the same.
Yeah.
Can we call you Dan the Man? Is that?
I would never deny that opportunity.
Yeah, so that's got to be confusing for some people that have known you for a long time. Do they call you Coach? Do they call you Mr. Diesel? Do they call you Mayor? Or
It's
you
funny.
you still get all the above?
All the above, but it's funny. I went visited Oak Park today, elementary school, had an event out there, and somebody asked me the same thing, and I said, they ask me that all the time. So I knew you when you were a coach. I said, well, I'm still coaching, and I really am. I said, but I'll be coaching a whole lot longer than I will have ever been mayor. Matter of fact, I'm helping my son. He's the defensive coordinator at Cocoa High School, and
Who just won a state
yeah,
championship.
we just won. You
Yeah.
wanna see pictures? I got pictures.
That is awesome.
But anyway, so this is my 41st year coaching, and my 6th year in as not the mayor, second into the second, going to my third year as the mayor. But a lot of former students, well, I don't know what to call you. Coach will always work, and mayor's good. But,
Yeah.
So I'm honored with both.
So I was talking to you at the EcoFest event we had here recently, and sharing some things with you from my perspective and what I've heard from other people around the community and people that work for the city of Titusville, people in the county, that your leadership style and the fact that you actually present leadership is such a rare blessing. There's many people in leadership roles that are not leaders. They're just kind of there. And then you have you're a born leader. You've been leading, you've been coaching, you've been teaching and doing things like that for such a long time that it's got to provide you a different perspective on all this.
Yeah, I was honored when you said that and didn't expect that when we did the presentation and talked a little while. I appreciate that. I guess I'm kind of like Popeye. I am what I am. And I don't try to come across as, I'm the special mayor, or I tell people all the time I'm not a politician. I never planned on being the mayor. Things just kind of happen, and I agree with you. I think God puts you where you need to be when you need to be there.
Yes, sir.
And it all kind of started in 2016 when I knew through the drop program I had to get out in 18. And I started to have a little panic about what am I going to do now? And I've been making a difference in kids' lives for, what was that then, 33 years. What am I going to do? And Walt Johnson, who was the mayor, was running for mayor at the time, said, look, I'm running for this position. My position is going to come open. Why don't you run for city council? It'll only be a 2-year seat, because he was halfway through his term. And then if you don't like it, you can get out. So I thought about that, and I thought, well, clearly, my motto's always been together we can make a difference, whether it be coaching football or being an athletic director or an administrator here. I thought that was a perfect step to take. And I remember we went to grad night in that year, and I told my wife, I said, I think I'm going to run for city council. It kind of just happened. It wasn't one of those things. And from there, I was appointed and voted vice mayor by the rest of the council. And then it started hitting me, maybe I could be mayor. Maybe I should be mayor. And I had more people talking to me in that aspect. And ultimately, here I am. And I think outside of being a husband and a father to my kids and a grandfather to my grandkids now, I'm really honored. It's kind of cool to me that I got to coach my hometown football team, and I got to be the mayor of my city. And that's pretty cool to me.
What, from the coaching perspective, were you able to take into this leadership role of mayor? What or even from teaching, what has transferred over that has worked for you? Just
about everything. And I mean that seriously. It almost amazes me sometimes when people say, well, how can you go from being the coach or the athletic director to being the mayor? I said, are you kidding me? It's the best training in the world, because you're under pressure a lot. You're in win and lose situations a lot. You're never going to make everybody happy. Somebody's always mad. And quite honestly, that's exactly what it's like to be the mayor. I love being the head football coach, and I love being the athletic director of my high school, but at the same time, it wasn't always a great day. And same thing as mayor. I love being the mayor of the city. I do. I love, I speak at a lot of events. I went to Oak Park Elementary today. My calendar stays full. I'm kind of an active mayor, as they tell me. I'm out a lot. Was at the Women's Center event a couple weeks ago, I guess. I rarely say no. If I can go, I'm going to go. And I've always told my coaches when I was athletic director and the head football coach, but especially as the athletic director, I always told my coaches, my head coaches of different sports, the most important thing you can be isn't necessarily nice and fair and all that. That's important. All those beings are, but the most important thing you can be is be there, be present, be involved. And I think that's the same thing as mayor. So I feel like I have taken, truthfully, I feel like when people say, hey, kiddingly, hey, Coach Mayor, I think that's exactly what I am. I think as a mayor, I coach.
I think that's a compliment.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah,
I do too.
That should be the approach really to anyone in any kind of leadership position. Is it should be about coaching and mentoring and encouraging people. coaching and being successful at it like you were for 41 years, that's all about learning to juggle different personalities.
Yep.
Find what motivates individual people and then bring those different people together as a team to make one goal happen.
Exactly, and I appreciate that. And I don't step back and think about some of the things you had said about the people who work with the city and this and that. Feel like you're a good leader. I don't step back and say, "Am I a good leader?" I do what I do, and I try to be very conscious about what I'm doing. But I do think it's the coaching. And sometimes it's kind of funny, but it's very rare a council meeting goes by where I don't use some sort of an athletic analogy or compare it to, I've always said, the greatest place in the world to be and where everybody gets along is in a huddle on the field, because you're all trying, that play getting called is the next step towards getting to your goal. And sometimes we forget about what it takes to get to goals. So, again, just another how I feel about it.
Yeah, leadership is one of those things I think that people either have or they don't. And whenever you do, it makes you a polarizing figure. And you are at the role you're in. You really are a polarizing figure in a lot of great ways.
Well, I appreciate that. And sometimes that polarizing figure is, again, I just go back to, I hear everybody's concerns about every issue, even if I feel like it's a different angle we have to go. No matter what I did as a head football coach, I felt like it didn't make everybody happy, but I might say to that kid, look, you're not going to play here tonight because we have to do what's best for the team. And I do the same thing with the city. We have to do and vote for what we think is best for the city. Now, there's just no doubt some people just don't want to hear that, and I get that. But that's just the way it is.
How do you balance that out, knowing that, a lot of times the decisions you're making, you believe are best for the city, but you're obviously some of them are going to upset half the population, and some of them are going to make half the population super happy.
That's exactly right. Just about, and I've always said this. So the best way you did a good compromise is when this group over here isn't totally happy and this group over here isn't totally happy. If one side's really, really happy and the other side's really, really mad, it wasn't a very good compromise. Compromise isn't about one side being real happy and the other side not. It's about some people on each side being happy and some people not. I don't go at it trying to do it that way. But, obviously, and I think the environment is extremely important in our city, and with our Indian River Lagoon and so much emphasis that we put with our city on that. And certainly I think development and low-income housing and affordable housing is very important too. But sometimes it's a fine balance because you can't build a house without cutting down a tree for the most part.
Yep.
And if you're all for trees, you're not for let's build. And if you are for the fact that, and you guys are probably very aware, one of the reasons housing is so expensive now is supply and demand. Now, I'm not sitting here saying we're going to try to take care of that whole situation, supply and demand. As a matter of fact, as I was driving here, traffic's getting crazy out there.
Yeah.
It's a different world out there, but you've got to do when I've always said this, when I ran for anything and when I was a coach, sorry, okay. I talk like this, but giving hands saying that we're going to run this defense. But anyway, you got to do what you think is best, because at the end of the night, you got to look. I've said this in so many situations. I remember teaching biology and giving a little lecture about, in the end of the night, when you look in the mirror, if you had a good day or not. If you made an A or an F today. So at the end of the day, look yourself in the mirror, and if you feel good about what you did, that's the most important thing. And then, of course, does the good Lord feel the same way?
No doubt about it. What are some of the biggest challenges you feel like the city of Titusville is kind of dealing with right now, and what do you feel like are some of the major changes that you have made while you've been in office that have really turned things in a positive direction? Well,
they both kind of intertwine. The biggest thing we're dealing with in my mind, and we at our meeting last night, part of the deal now is development. We have developers at just about every meeting now because we're prime spot to be. And developing. When I first ran in 2016, the term smart growth was out there, but it was easy to say because there wasn't a lot of growth going on.
Right.
We're going to do smart growth. Well, you didn't have to prove anything because there wasn't any growth going on. Now we're growing rapid fire, so it's really important that we do have smart growth. We have to have growth. We need more housing. We need more affordable housing, but we got to be very careful with our environment and our trees. And one of the things I'm proudest of is while I was the mayor, in the last 2 years, we passed a tree ordinance and a low impact development ordinance. They both deal with, as I called it, again, it was one of my analogies when over here I've got the tree team and over here I've got the developers. And I said to them, I said, in the end, not everybody on either side is going to be happy. And that's what we call a compromise. I said, but we've got to do what's best for our city. And truthfully, it's a fine line, as you said. But bottom line is we've got to move forward and we've got to hear from both sides. And when we got started on that, I said, you got to have a rule book. And again, I said, you don't play a football game without a rule book. And you can't have this mass development without a rule book. And that's really all I think a tree ordinance and a low impact development ordinance are. They're rule books. If you can't cut down this kind of tree, this size has this, and stormwater ponds here, and they have to be this deep. They're rule books. And I can tell you, having been to mayor's breakfast recently, when I was sharing that, most of the mayors didn't even know what low impact development was. So I was really proud that we not only know what it is, we passed a low impact development ordinance. So that, to me, the biggest problem we're having right now is, keeping our Indian River Lagoon, or getting our Indian River Lagoon back to where it needs to be. But at the same time, we've got a lot of people moving here looking for places to go to live. So, and certainly our stormwater and our sewer, we just passed a lot of money, but this is one of the things that I think we got to take care of. But almost a $9 million new sewer line going over there, and we're moving it further away from the lagoon. And everything we do when it comes to things like that, the lagoon is a major factor in every one of them. And in this case, we're new stormwater piping and sewage that's moving a little bit further west.
As being someone who has watched a lot of city council meetings and watched how you interact with people, another thing I've always appreciated is somebody will ask you a question or bring a topic up, and you always say, well, man, if I don't know about that, maybe we can talk to somebody that has more knowledge, which I think is a very rare thing in leadership too, and goes along with what you're talking about when you have different people looking at different things in different committees. I think that's something you should be kind of commended for as well.
Well, thank you. I remember, again, when I ran in 16, and we have these little, I don't want to call them debates, but these little forums, and they ask questions, and then people would ask questions. And they're asking me, and I'm sorry, I keep kicking my chair. And you guys are going, oh.
It's quite fun.
But they're asking questions, and I finally said, look, just because you're running for city council doesn't mean you know all these things. I don't know the biology necessarily of the lagoon. I don't know what the phosphorus level is in the water. But what you do is you get experts, and the people, we have engineers, and you count on them. And I'll be very honest with you, I expect my people to have the answers. And I will say that I'm a very easygoing guy, and sometimes, but I expect our people to know what they're doing. And if they don't, I expect them to find out. Because I will tell you this too, and anybody who works with me very long knows that when I'm up there and the questions come my way, I'm not going to know everything, but I better have somebody that does. And that's kind of where I've been. And again, I can go back to a coaching analogy, and it's just what I do. So anybody around me gets used to that. There's a reason on a football team, there's an offensive and a defensive coordinator. The head coach doesn't try to call all the offense and all the defense, and half the time I'll tell you the head coach doesn't necessarily know what they're calling out there, but he expects them to know, and at the end of the game he expects them to be able to explain to him how it went. So it's just, again, there's another comparison of how does the coaching compare to being the mayor. You have people do their jobs. And in the city, I want to make it very clear, we've got a great staff that does a great job and is very committed, and I mean they take it personal. Our people are very serious about the lagoon. They're very serious about our roads. Are we perfect? Do we have it all fixed? No, actually, there's potholes I saw today. I'll probably bring up, but can't keep up with everything.
Yeah, the way I like to look at it too. How many years has the city of Titusville been around?
It was 1867.
So you can't fix 100 and so many years worth of problems in a couple of, in a handful of years. It's something that you're dealing with everybody's stuff from the past, everything they've kind of piled up and left for the next person, and you're trying to handle it all now at one time when it's popping up. It's pretty much impossible to do.
I think we're also in a weird situation because Titusville had a bunch of growth, in the 60s with the space program.
Right.
And that's when it grew. And so a lot of our infrastructure was put in that time. And so right now it's over 50 years old.
That's what I'm saying.
And
yeah.
it's starting to hit the breaking point. And you start to see it, like when you're on roads and, you've got some of the stuff that's under the roads that we never see is starting to
I see it sometimes.
to collapse
Frank
and
sees
stuff.
it.
Yeah, Frank sees it. Frank goes running around in the.
I've been under
sewers and
under
everything.
the city of Titusville more times than I care to admit.
Yeah, you probably-
underneath St. John Street, I've crawled that all the way out to the Indian River.
Oh, really?
It's all brick down there. It's crazy down there. It's an experience. But anyhow,
There
yeah.
you
But
go.
it's
Well,
what you're saying. There's layers of things there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You can't fix everything at once if you don't know it's broken. It's how do you fix it? And
Well,
when it does break, you take care of it.
And again, sometimes my demands are not realistic, but I ask my water resource people to do their very best to check every pipe, and I don't care what kind of equipment you need to do it. One of the issues we had a couple of years ago was a pipe that broke. We didn't even, and then previously, whoever put the pipe down there poured concrete on top of it. And so for all the years, so the pressure of the concrete finally bent and broke the pipe. Well, how are we supposed to know that?
Right.
So we fixed it, and I'm asking, and I know our people are doing their very best to get ahead of the curve.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But like you guys just said, matter of fact, Bill, you may recall, we've had so many, before I was even anywhere near the council, we had so many, call them sinkholes, call them whatever you want, out in our front parking lot.
Oh, yeah, the
You
washouts.
can-
Yeah.
If you take go and look at an aerial view of the school in the parking lot, you can see the different square patches where they went in there. And one of the times, whoever did the work, they took a lot of the bricks from Riverview and threw them in there to fill the area.
Right.
Well, of course, as time went on and there's air between it all kind of sank, and we ended up with a big sinkhole out there.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What my point was that we're just at a time in our timeline when, things are getting to the point where there's a lot of maintenance that's going to need to be done. And that's a challenging time for you guys.
Well, especially come budget hearing time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be very
absolutely.
honest with you, it's most of our citizens, a vast majority of our citizens are very pleased and understand. In some cases, they're counting on us to take care of it, and they've got their other things going on. There are those who, if how the taxes go up any amount at all, it's like, have you seen the inflation rate? Have you?
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to, buy a fire truck, $750,000. I mean, it's and
That
not
adds
only
up
that,
quick.
and the supply chain has it now where instead of coming, within a year, it's like 2.5 years to get one of those. So things are very different now, as you said.
Yeah.
So what do you think is next for you, Dan? So I mean, you've done teaching, you're still coaching. I think you're still teaching a little bit here and there too, or are you just doing some administrative stuff?
And I just got done being, for 4 months, I was the interim principal at St. Mark's Episcopal Academy in Cocoa. They had
Okay.
some real problems and came and asked if I could remedy, and quite honestly, they were on the verge of possibly closing down. And I'm glad to say we got them back on track, and they're alive and well.
There you go. So coaching, teaching, administration, mayor. Where are you going next, buddy?
I don't know.
Are you happy? Are you happy where you're at? And you want us to be there for several years?
That's a real big question right now. I won't say who, but I just met with somebody yesterday for lunch, and there's discussion about other positions. We'll just throw out the possibilities. People are asking about, do you want to, be the county commissioner, District 1? Do you want to run for mayor again? Or do you want to be done? And every time I say that, I always tell everybody who asks me that, and people who encourage me to run for county commission. And quite honestly, that's what I'm getting most of is, hey, why don't you run for county commission? And I said, well, I'll either run for county commission, I'll run for mayor again, or I'll be done. And before I can ever get I'll be done out, they always say, you won't be done. I mean,
Now-
seriously, anybody I say that to, you won't be done.
But here's the thing that you got to talk about. You know, his wife, Barb, she's getting, now is she retired yet?
No, but I said this in the discussion
See?
yesterday. I said the difference in this discussion now is this will be the first time I've ever made a decision like this where she will be retired 1 year from tomorrow. Actually, she'll retire.
Okay.
She's always been one to say, do what you want. Hey, I want to be the head football coach. I'm going to play. Go ahead and do that. I'm going to run for, I told her at grad night, grad bash, I think it was then. And at first she kind of looked at me and says, you know, like, why? And then I kind of told her, she says, you know, you do what you think you need to do. She's always done that. She's got, you know, and again, you know, you talk about getting endorsements, and she'll have to be my first endorsement for whichever I decide to do.
Right.
And we'll see where it goes. Ultimately, I always like to think, you know, well, gosh, I was, you know, 35 years here. I'm 41 or 42 years in coaching now. Blessed to have coached with my son at Coco, and before that, SpaceCoast.
Which is very awesome.
It is awesome. It really is. I wanted, you know, when we go to the state championship, you don't know what's going to happen. As a matter of fact, you know, this game went to overtime. We played Florida High School, which is a Florida State University campus high school. They're the Seminoles, we're the same uniform and everything. It was crazy. And they're 14-0. And we know we're really good, and we were 10-3. But the three teams we lost to were previous state champs and all state ranked, and lost to St. Thomas Aquinas, for example. They're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really look at our three losses as though we're in big trouble. But they scored on the last play of the game, made it 31-31, and we won in overtime. And the point I'm making is I told my wife before the game, I said, I've got to get a picture of me and Matt after the game if things go well. If it doesn't go well, and last year we lost to Gibbons down in Fort Lauderdale, 21-19. Oh, that hurt. It still hurts. We didn't do any pictures after the game.
No.
So the point I'm making is I have a picture even on my phone now, as a matter of fact, that, well, you can't see it because of all the stuff, but that's us.
Yeah, indeed.
Us at the game, after the game. And that's what it's all about for me. Don't misunderstand me. I love the kids. I found out real quickly in the first couple of weeks I was there. Actually, I was trying that out too, because I told Matt, I said, I'm not going to Coco. I'll help you, Spacey. I'm not going to Coco. And next thing I know, the whole defensive staff's over at my house, and it's like, well, let's try it. So I went over and tried it, and about 2 weeks into it, I remember talking to him, and the coach introduced me as the new coach, and, you know, a guy who's coached 100 years, they say. And I told them, I said, I knew there'd be talent here. It's Coco. I knew there'd be talent here. I said, I had no idea how much class there'd be here, from top to bottom, and they're a class act, and they treat me with great respect, and they're really impressed that I'm the mayor. But I tell them all the time, I said, I'm not nearly as important as you think I am. But they really think that's neat. But obviously, you know, and they know this too. You know, I'm Titusville High through and through. I met my wife here. My kids went here. My brother and sister. I started following Titusville High School. My brother playing football in 1967.
Wow.
So the reason I have coached anywhere but Titusville is because I went with my son. He became the head coach at SpaceCoast after I retired here in 18. I thought, well, good timing. I'll go help him. Well, then he got done 2 years because he found out that he also owns a business. He found out you can't be a head high school football coach and own a business. So he had to give that up after 2 years. We did very well there. But when he got out, he's a great defensive coordinator, and you can be an assistant coach without, you know, having to be on campus, etc. So then I'm thinking I'm done. And that's when he said, you know, no, you need to come with me. And then especially his wife, McKenna, was like, you know, no, Pop, you've got to come. You've got to be on the headset, because I'm on the headset with him. You're just like this. And he's down there for 4 years at Titusville High School as defensive coordinator. I was upstairs with him. Then I thought, I'm done. Nope, he goes to that SpaceCoast. I'm on the headset with him. And now we're in the end of our third year on the headset with him. It is a good match. After 41 years of coaching, you kind of have a really good idea of what's coming, what we need to do. But he does a really good job on his own. But bottom line is, any time I've coached anywhere else, it has to do with, come on with me. And being around the kids, no matter who it is great. But I've always said that it's kind of like a great foster home, and foster homes are really important, and they're great. But Titusville High School will always be my home.
We appreciate that for sure. Yeah, it's a special place. Well, Dan, we really appreciate you being here. You mean a lot to our community. You're a fantastic human being that is consistently trying to do good for everybody. And that's all you can ever ask. You're trying to do it the right way every single time. And we definitely appreciate you. Thank you for what you do, and a very Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I was excited to be in the Christmas parade like everybody else, and I will tell you that if you were there, it was the biggest Christmas parade I've ever seen. It just keeps getting bigger, and that just was a wonderful time to share the joy of the season with everybody. But thank you very much, and happy to be here. And thank you, Mr. Curtis. It's good to be here. I used to evaluate Mr. Curtis, and I'd come in here. I'd sit in there and watch him do Terrier TV, and I always said that Mr. Curtis is an icon here, and he is.
Yep.
And there's certain names that come across that I consider icons at this school, and I say Mr. Schwint the same way over in the music department.
Tell you what, doing interviews and doing things in TV production when I was a student here made a huge difference for me, doing talks to people, having conversations in front of large groups, doing discussions with people, radio interviews, TV interviews. Doing this right here in high school made a dramatic difference. If I hadn't done this, all that would probably be very much more uncomfortable. And this, being in front of these cameras and doing this stuff almost every day, it became second nature.
Well, one of the most important assets I think anyone can have, and it's important to me, and I think that Mr. Curtis is very good at that, is relationships.
Yep.
Relationships with your students, in my case, relationships with coaches or citizens, whatever it is. One reason you need to be there is to have relationships.
I think we'll keep him.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Again, Dan, we super appreciate you being here, sir. And we're excited to see what you do next, buddy.
Thanks for having me. We'll see what happens. Whatever it is, I'll do the best that I can do, and I'll make sure it's where I'm supposed to be. And that's when you ask God, say, what am I supposed to be doing here?
Exactly. That's all you can do. It's all any of us can do.
I appreciate it.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Bill, Cindy, appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
She smiles nice. She's just
Cindy makes the whole thing work. She always denies it.
The
She's
glue.
Like, she is the glue that makes it all happen. But
she's happy to be here.
Yeah, she is. Anyhow, thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you all next week. Bye-bye.